Hello Magic the Gathering Arena players. Have you ever thought about completing Magic Arena sets for free? Or do you mostly play just drafts and would want to draft as much as possible without using money? If your answer is yes to either question, you should stick around because I am going to explain why playing traditional drafts is going to give you the best chance to achieve these goals. I will also go through the optimal way to complete Magic Arena sets with the method I have been using myself. For those who are not familiar with my channel, I draft a lot on Magic the Gathering Arena and upload every single one of my drafts here to my YouTube channel for all of you to watch. I upload at least one draft a day, focusing mostly on best of 3 drafts. I will be releasing draft strategy content occasionally and limited set reviews from new sets as well. As a side note, that was a promise. I will be uploading a basic level draft strategy video and also a call time limited set review coming up later this month. If this kind of content interests you and you want to keep up with my uploads, please do not forget to subscribe to my channel. That's it for the introduction, and here are the contents of the video. First, I'll quickly show my collection status to show how effective focusing on traditional drafts has been for me and that you could potentially achieve the same. Then I'll explain what it takes to achieve the same and why for those who fulfill the requirements, traditional draft is the optimal way to complete card collections or to keep drafting without using money. The final section will cover my method of completing arena sets if you are interested in doing something similar. I tried to keep the video as short and concise as possible, but you can use the chapter selection feature of YouTube to jump to a particular topic if you are not interested in listening through all of it. Alright then, Chapter 1, My Collection. At first I must mention that this account is not completely free to play. I have bought the $50 bundle twice, as well as the welcome bundle that costs $5. That's 105 euros I've spent on this account. Buying those gems made me be able to start drafting non-stop right when the open beta started over 2 years ago. The last time I bought gems was around 2 years ago when Ravnica Allegiance released. Since then I've been able to net gems in drafts instead of losing gems. As you maybe saw from the video thumbnail, I currently have a pretty good amount of wildcards that I've been accumulating. Why so many? I simply don't need to spend them to complete sets thanks to all the drafting I do. With over 300 mythic and over 600 rare wildcards, I can craft cards from releases such as the historic anthologies without using in-game currency on them. My gem count is almost 80,000 currently, which is the result of traditional drafts being profitable. In addition to the wildcards and the gems I have also collected all the sets that have been available for traditional drafts during open beta or later, not counting cards that do not open from draft boosters or the regular 8 card packs. At the risk of it seeming like I'm just showing off here, I want to present some proof of what I just said. So I'll quickly show that I have all the pack openable cards as 4 copies from all standard releases since Guilds of Ravnica. I'll go to filters and select the sets in question. And I'll select both collected and not collected cards to appear in the view. Then, as you may know, the search term with question mark and the text booster will filter out cards that cannot be opened from packs. Then I can add the search term that will show only the cards that I own at 0 to 3 copies. As you can see, nothing pops up, which means I have 4 of each card from the selected sets. And now I'll just choose mythic rares and make the quantity equal to 4. And here we see all the pack openable mythics from all those selected sets as 4 copies each. I am also not claiming that anyone can do the same, but if you are already an above average drafter or are eager to learn to become one, you could also collect sets quite efficiently by focusing on traditional drafts specifically. Now I'll go to chapter 2. How good do you have to be, and why traditional draft is the best option for fully completing sets for free or for infinite drafting. Before I go to the details, I first need to point out that by completing sets, I really mean all the cards, including 4 of each mythic rare, not just rares. It is a lot easier to get full or almost full rare completion from a set, and there are a few ways to achieve that. For example, traditional drafts are not necessary, and you won't need a high win rate either. However, most of the methods only work when you want to race from standard sets. With the addition of historic releases such as Jumpstart and the remastered sets, trying to get a large enough collection to be able to play both historic and standard requires either some money or going infinite in traditional drafts. So, in order to collect sets for free or just draft infinitely without using money, the required match win rate in traditional drafts is over 60%, maybe somewhere between 65 and 70%, depending on how actively you play to get daily gold rewards. Also, buying any cosmetics will set you back by a lot, so be prepared to win even more or use money if you want to tune your decks with card styles, etc. For infinite drafting, that's all you need. Win close to 70% of your matches on average in traditional drafts, and you don't have to worry about anything else. Maybe get some daily gold to get some occasional free draft buy-ins for 10,000 gold. But for completing sets, there is another factor. It takes time. How much it is then? There is no exact answer, as it does depend on the exact win rate and also how lucky you'll get by opening mythic rares and getting them passed to you. Whether you want to stockpile mythic rare wildcards or use them to complete the set affects the required amount of drafts as well. I would say that completing a regular standard release will take between 50 to 80 traditional drafts. So if you can only average a draft per day, and even that isn't exactly doable for everyone, you won't be able to complete a set until very close to the next set's release. Therefore, people who can't jam drafts after drafts may not be able to achieve the set completion even if they were the best drafter in the world. But okay, let's assume you have a bunch of time to do drafts, or you don't care about collecting sets but just want to draft as much as you want without buying gems all the time. Why would the draft event with the most top-heavy price structure be a reasonable choice, and how realistic is it to achieve close to 70% win rate? The answer to the first question is that traditional draft is in fact the easiest event to go infinite because of two reasons. One, its break-even point in terms of win rate is lower than in the other two drafts, the premier and quick drafts. And two, it's an unranked mode, whereas the other two draft modes are ranked. The top-heavy price pool is exactly the reason why going infinite is realistic in the best of three draft event. The higher the win rate, the lesser you get those low-end results, and the more you will get the best result. With the best result netting a whopping 1500 gems, an entire new draft's worth, compared to the 700 gems of premier draft and an even smaller net gain of 200 gems in the quick draft, it is easy to see that you'll never recover easily from a bad result in the latter two modes. If you do badly in one traditional draft, you only need to get the best result of 3 wins and 0 losses once to compensate for the failed draft. In Premier Draft, you might not get the absolute worst results that often, but getting even something like 2 wins and 3 losses requires almost 2 7-win results to cover for the gem losses. In Quick Draft, you can only ever net around a quarter of the draft buy-in, which makes it basically impossible to go infinite in that event. But you don't have to believe me. People have made calculations of the expected value based on win rate in the events, and by searching them on the internet, you'll see that for traditional draft, the required win rate to break even is the lowest of the three. Different sources may have a bit different results, which usually is caused by the calculations valuing the price packs differently. That said, the exact math isn't even that important here because being unranked versus a ranked event makes a significant difference. Traditional draft always pairs you based on the match result you currently have in the event. No matchmaking rating or rank is involved in the process. This means that you can maintain whatever win rate you have indefinitely. For both quick and premier drafts, any rank progress makes you play against increasingly more difficult opposition, which makes it that much harder to maintain a good win rate. That is the biggest reason I recommend trying traditional drafts if you are already good at drafting. For those who are less experienced drafters and don't win a lot, the quick draft is much better in terms of prices. But everyone gets better when they practice, and while the quick draft is a good place to start, you can try your skills in the other modes when you are confident enough. There's one more matter to discuss in this chapter: how realistic it is to have a close to 70% win rate in the long run. After all, that is far above the average of 50%. Well, this may surprise some who don't play the traditional drafts, but the average level of opposition is not that great there. Definitely not as good as you might imagine, based on the price structure of the event. While I take no enjoyment in winning matches where the opponent clearly wasn't an experienced drafter, it's not like I can choose my opponents. All I'm saying is that you will occasionally get easy level opponents there, and that works wonders to boosting up your overall win rate. My Zendikar Rising traditional draft playlist has all my drafts of that format that I've done since I started uploading videos to YouTube a couple of months ago. I haven't skipped any bad drafts, it's really a genuine run of 50 plus consecutive drafts. The win rate I have in them, 80%. If you don't believe me, you can check them yourself. That means I have netted over 20,000 gems in them and a ton of packs. And while I do have almost 20 years of drafting experience, I'm still not doing any fancy stuff in the drafts. All I do is draft according to well-known strategy and try to make as few mistakes in the matches as possible, and I play around cards when it makes sense. I would never get that high of a win rate if playing in a group consisting of exclusively of veteran drafters. But the traditional draft event has such a wide skill range present in its player base that I am sure that anyone who so far has avoided the best of three draft event, but who takes drafting seriously and knows what they are doing, should at least try and see how they succeed in that mode. One last thing I mentioned before moving to the final chapter is that focusing on traditional drafts is not going to gain you any limited rank, which may be a serious drawback for anyone who wants to get their qualified weekend invite by playing limited. That is the trade-off, and there is not much you can do about it unless you have enough time to both rank up in the ladder and then collect sets in a cost-effective manner in traditional drafts. I personally will start trying to rank in the limited ladder if it at some point qualifies me to a limited tournament, but as long as it feeds to a constructed event, I'll stick to my preferred mode of best of 3 magic. Now to the third and final chapter of the video, which will cover the method to optimally collect Magic Arena card sets by drafting. This will be of little use to drafters only, so if you are one of those and decide to leave the video at this point, I thank you for your time. I will read all the comments, so if you have something to discuss or any questions, please put them to the comment section below. And please don't forget to subscribe if you are interested in seeing my daily draft content, strategy and set reviews. As a reminder, in this section I assume that, as has been discussed earlier, you are collecting the set, doing traditional drafts with high enough win rate that you can play them indefinitely or with only a very occasional monetary investment. I also talk about full mythics completion, not just getting all the rares. With that out of the way, here are the 3 steps to follow. 1. Don't buy packs with gold or gems. Save the in-game currency for traditional draft buy-ins. The occasional discounted daily deal pack is obviously fine. 2. Pick all the mythic rares you see in drafts unless you already own 4 of them. Pressing and holding Alt on your keyboard shows how many of each card in the draft pack you currently own. You don't have to rare draft regular rares. And 3. Don't open any packs from the set you are collecting, draft prizes or otherwise, until you have collected enough of them to complete the collection in one pack opening session. The first point doesn't really need further explanation. The second point is important because mythic rares are always the bottleneck to completing a set. When going for 4 times mythics completion, you will get all the rares in the process much earlier than you have completed the mythics. That's why you don't have to rare draft the regular rares. The number of mythics you own in fact determines at which point you can open all your packs from the set in order to get it filled, which gets us to the details of the third point. You want to collect mythic rares and booster packs until you have enough of both of them to know that by opening all of the packs you will get either A. Enough mythic rare cards and mythic rare wild cards combined to fill out the missing mythics in the set, or B. Enough mythic rare cards alone to achieve the same, if you wish to save the mythic wild cards for some other purpose, for example crafting cards from historic sets. You decide whether you want to go for A or B, or a mix of them both. Because I never stop drafting, the option B happens to me naturally. That option requires obviously more effort than the option A. Now we'll have a bit of math. Each 30 packs opened will on average yield 28 cards and 2 wild cards from the rare slot, 1 mythic rare and 1 regular rare wild card. The information is available on the website shown on the screen, and the same link can be also found in the description below. The 28 cards will be mostly rares, but there is a certain ratio at which mythic rares appear in place of rares. The same website shows that ratio for each set on Magic Arena. Kaldheim supposedly will have the same ratio as Zendikar Rising, so let's go with that assumption. Every 7.4 rare slot cards will contain exactly 1 mythic rare. Therefore, 28 rare slot cards will contain 28 divided by 7.4 mythic rares, which is roughly 3.8 mythics. Note also that these are long-term averages, but when opening 200 or more packs, things will mostly average out. Anyway, now that we know that opening 30 packs will yield 3.8 mythic rares and 2 mythic wildcards, the other wildcard comes from the wildcard wheel, of course, you only need to find out the amount of mythics you currently are missing from the full 4x set. You simply go to the collection view and open the filter menu, select the set in question, choose mythic rares. Remember to also check the not collected option and close the filter menu. I have my Dominaria collection here as an example because I am missing a few cards from it. Then go to the search bar and type $booster to eliminate cards that cannot be opened from packs, and now you see all the mythics you have and how many you are missing. Count the number of missing spots, and that's how many mythics you still need. If you went for the option A as discussed a moment ago, you know that each 30 packs will give you 3.8 mythic rares and 2 mythic wildcards, which sum up to a total of 5.8 mythics. Therefore, you get 1 mythic per 30 divided by 5.8 packs, which equals to roughly 5.2 packs opened for 1 mythic rare or wildcard to be found. You counted the number of missing mythic rares from the set, so you have to multiply that amount by 5.2 to find the amount of packs you need to own in order to complete the set. The reason you don't open the packs any earlier is that this way you maximize the benefit of 50 copy protection system. Draft packs do not have protected rares, so you want that each mythic you see is not one that you already own at 4 copies. Doing the math for the option B, the one that saves all your wildcards for some other use, gives us that 30 packs yield 3.8 mythic rare cards, or that you need to open 7.9 packs to get 1 mythic rare card. In this case, you multiply the amount of missing mythics by 7.9 to find out how many packs you need to own in order to complete the set by opening them. The above means that each prize pack you get and each mythic rare you pick in drafts brings you closer to set completion. I have gone with the option B for my set collection, and that means I'll likely need to accumulate close to 40 mythic rares and close to 300 packs before I can open the packs to complete a set. It recently got a bit more difficult because the number of unique mythic rares in a set was increased from 15 to 20 starting from Zendikar Rising. When Kaldheim releases in a few weeks, I will complete its collection using the method I described. Each draft will be uploaded to my channel, so not only will you get to see some nice draft content, you can also keep up with my collection completion progress if that sounds interesting. And that concludes my video. Thank you to anyone who's still watching, and please use the comment section below for any questions or remarks. Until next time, bye bye.